I'm Allison Langer.
I'm Andrea Askowitz, and this is Writing Class Radio. You'll hear true personal stories and learn how to write your own stories. Together, we produce this podcast, which is equal parts heart and art. By heart, we mean the truth in a story. By art, we mean the craft of writing. No matter what's going on in our lives, writing class is where we tell the truth. It's where we work out our shit. There's no place in the world like writing class, and we want to bring you in. Today, we bring you the third story in our 7-part series called Our Abortion Stories to support Yes on 4, which is an amendment to bring abortion rights back to Florida. A few weeks ago, we did a live show in Miami, Florida, featuring 7 heartbreaking, but also heartwarming and triumphant stories covering all aspects of abortion and health. We're bringing you one a week until the election, November 5th, 2024. If you're listening after November 5th, these stories are still amazing and informative, both in content and craft. If you're just tuning in, like if this is your first time listening to Writing Class Radio, please listen to episode 190 to learn how our live show came to be and why we feel stories can change hearts and laws.
Today's story is by Matt Tente. Matt comes with a perspective about how healthcare can be handled if we in Florida work hard enough to win Yes on 4. Back with Matt's story after the break. We're back. I'm Allison Langer, and you're listening to Writing Class Radio. Here's Matt Tente reading his story, Letters to My Son, about his abortion.
Son, one day you will ask us what it was like when you came into this world, and for years we will lie. We will say it was joyful and beautiful and wonderful and all the other foes we can think of, because the truth won't be easy to tell. How the story began 2 years before you were born, when your mom's obstetrician confirmed she was pregnant. That was 2 days before my 36th birthday, and 1 day before your grandpa, Pop, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. We will fib, skipping over the part about fear, that I was afraid Pop wouldn't live long enough to meet his grandchild. We will wait until you were older to tell you how his diagnosis was overshadowed when a doctor explained the term chromosomal abnormality in the 3 different trisomies: Downs, Edwards, and Patau's, conditions that cause severe and sometimes fatal birth defects. How the doctor presented us with options I was scared to share with Pop because he was raised Catholic in the 60s, which made him pro-life by default. We will tell you white lies until you're grown, because we can't share your story without mentioning the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe versus Wade. We will tell you the view from the labor room was beautiful on the day you were born, but nothing about the previous pregnancy 22 months before. We won't talk about genetic screenings and waiting for lab results, or the shock of the genetics counselor telling us that our unborn baby had trisomy 18, Edwards syndrome. That by the time an appointment before an abortion even became available, your mom was 15 weeks and 3 days, well past the 6-week ban that they passed here in Florida. I won't tell you how your mom woke up every morning knowing that if she continued that pregnancy, it was almost certain to end in a miscarriage, stillbirth, or neonatal death. That if it had been taken to term, the resulting complications might have made your conception impossible. I won't tell you that when I explained the situation to Pop, he told us to do what was right for our family. That his words, they came without judgment and were exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. We won't tell you about the rage we felt when Kate Cox, a pregnant mother of 2 in Texas with the same exact diagnosis, had to go to court to request a medical exemption to terminate. How the initial decision was appealed to the state Supreme Court, which ruled against Mrs. Cox, forcing her to flee the state to get the health care she needed. We will tell you how excited we were when we learned that your mom got pregnant again. Not how every single day of your gestation was filled with worry, thinking that it might end like the last. We won't tell you that at 10 weeks, a doctor said you might have a crania, a fatal disorder that would stop your skull from forming, exposing your brain to amniotic fluid that would quickly destroy it. Or how we had to wait 2 agonizing weeks for a follow-up appointment because the doctor said 10 weeks was too early to confirm the diagnosis. How we scheduled another abortion for the day after that follow-up because it would be barbaric to make your mom live one more day waiting to lose a pregnancy that was already lost. I won't explain how hard your mom cried at that follow-up when the doctor said the initial reading was imprecise and your skull had formed in the 2 weeks since. And we will certainly wait to tell you how your mom made the call to cancel the appointment that was meant to be your abortion. We won't tell you about Nancy Davis, a pregnant woman in Louisiana who fled the state to get an abortion after receiving a confirmed crania diagnosis. That abortions were banned in Louisiana after the Dobbs decision, compelling Miss Davis to explain to the world that she would have had to carry her baby just to bury her baby. We will wait to tell you how, a few weeks later, your grandma Dub-Dub was rushed to the hospital. That your mom, she got on a plane, flew across the country, and raced to be with her. That when I got there a day later, Dub-Dub was lying unconscious in a hospital bed with your mom curled up beside her. How your mom's pregnant belly, it was pressed up against Dub-Dub's side, and I just sat there watching the 3 of you, hoping Dub-Dub could feel you kick, until the nurse said it was time to take her off life support. We won't tell you the joy Dub-Dub felt knowing you were on your way, or how hard Pop-Pop tried to live long enough to meet you, only to pass away 3 weeks before you were born. We won't explain how heartbreaking it is to become a parent, just as you've lost your own. I won't tell you how I tried to calculate the number of years I would have spent in prison for driving your mom to that abortion, or how many more her doctor would have gotten for performing the procedure if we had lived in Texas, Louisiana, or 19 other states, including right here in Florida. We will wait until you're older to teach you about Dobbs and Roe and how to raise your voice when the moment demands it, because women shouldn't have to face this fight on their own. We will wait until you're grown to tell you how fortunate we were to live in California, because if we hadn't, we might not have had you. Thank you.
What a beautiful, emotional read. Oh, God.
His story is crushing, but hopeful.
I think the thing that I'm hearing right now when I listen to it is the emotional, how huge it is to have a baby. This line just really struck me. Heartbreaking to become a parent just if you've lost your own. I feel like that's what I was feeling the most in this story this time when I heard it. What I was feeling the most is how big it is to have a baby and how emotional it was for this narrator to lose his parent while he was becoming a parent. That part just was I felt it this time.
Yeah. But so monumental. I mean, he brings up a lot of things in here that abortion and abortion rights and abortion concerns and a lot of stuff is made really evident that 10 weeks is too early to know what's going on. But in Florida, we're at a 6-week ban right now. So he would have been stuck with a baby who may not have been viable had, for that second pregnancy. And if it was at 10 weeks or 12 weeks, he may have aborted. So there's, if he was pressed to do something, but then actually the baby turned out to be okay at 12 weeks. So I just think that his story really drove home the fact that these early bans are just really not right.
The early bans are way too soon.
Yeah.
The fetus was diagnosed with acrania at 10 weeks, but they didn't get the final clearance that that diagnosis was wrong until 12 weeks. And so this story shows us that 10 weeks, 12 weeks, certainly 6 weeks is way too soon to know about the health of a fetus. I thought this story also did a really interesting job at telling us a lot about the state of abortion in other states, because he brought in 2 other cases that were similar to his. He brought in Katie Cox. I don't know if you heard about her, but I did. She was pregnant in Texas. Her fetus had trisomy 18, and that was not on the list in Texas. So she had to flee Texas to get her much needed health care. And then the same thing happened, or a similar thing happened to Nancy Davis, who was pregnant in Louisiana. This narrator mentioned that his wife's fetus was also diagnosed with acrania. But in Louisiana, Nancy Davis had to flee the state also. She had to flee Louisiana because acrania was not on the list of exceptions. So I thought that Matt did a really good job of bringing in the state of abortion rights in more than just Florida, California, because he also brought in Louisiana and Texas.
Just to talk about the writing real quick, because Matt isn't a writer. He's a photographer and a filmmaker. You know, he wrote this because he finds and actually came to our show to share his story, because he believes, you know, in abortion being legal until viability. Like, he definitely wants his voice heard. He wants his situation heard. He doesn't want his experience to go unconsidered. Is that even a word? Inconsidered, unconsidered?
I get it.
Yeah, that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We would love to belabor the point of abortion, but we are also a writing and storytelling podcast, and we want to share a little bit about the writing.
Don't you want to say that word?
Which one?
Epistolary.
Oh, yeah. I love epistolary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I love the epistolary form. It's basically writing a letter. I love to have students do this. And it is not easy, because you cannot tell. I mean, in this case, he's talking to a baby, but typically when we're writing a letter, we can't reveal things that they obviously know. So I thought he did a great job.
He did. He stuck to the form, and he didn't say things to the baby that the baby already knew for the sake of us, the audience. And that's typically what happens, but he didn't do that. He did a great job with that. I want to say that we found a different version of the story in the Huffington Post, and it was much, much longer and much more. It wasn't meant for the stage because it was written. And both of us read it and thought it was so beautiful. And that's why we asked Matt to come be part of our show. So I guess we should put in the show notes a link to the original Huffington Post essay.
For sure. I appreciate that Matt wrote this, and it was a little different than some of our other forms and structures. And I just hope that people try writing a letter on their own, you know, see how it goes. Try it to see if you can get to the heart of a problem, heart of an issue. I mean, he really got to the heart of an issue here.
Thank you, Matt Tente, for telling your story. If you loved this episode, please tell 3 friends what you learned, and please share this episode.
Writing Class Radio is hosted by me, Allison Langer.
And me, Andrea Askowitz.
Audio production by Matt Kundle, Evan Serminski, and Aidan Glassy at the Sound Off Media Company. Theme music is by Kenny Corrade. There's more writing class on our website, including stories we study, editing resources, video classes, writing retreats, and live online classes. If you want to write with us every week, or if you're a business owner, community activist, group that needs healing, entrepreneur, and you want to help your team write better, check out all the classes we offer on our website, writingclassradio.com. Join the community that comes together for instruction, an excuse to write, and the support from other writers. To learn more, go to our website or patreon.com/writingclassradio. A new episode in this series will drop every Wednesday until the election. A full list of our sponsors and a link to donate to Yes on 4 can be found in our show notes.
There's no better way to understand ourselves and each other than by writing and sharing our story. Everyone has a story. What's yours?
Produced and distributed by the Sound Off Media Company.